How do you know what to plant when and how much? And let's talk garden planting, friends. There's so much to consider. And welcome to Live Q&A. This is Petra, and welcome to the Fruition Kitchen. I can't wait to share breakfast with you one day. In the meantime, let's garden plan. So yes, jump right in and don't be shy. This is Live Q&A and anything goes. And I love to begin all of our live Q&A sessions together with a song, story, poem, with a something to ground us in our time together. And this morning, some words from Robin Wall Kimmerer. So, short and sweet, all flourishing is mutual. All flourishing is mutual. And from this larger paragraph, which I'd love to share as well. I think that the service berries show us another model, one based upon reciprocity rather than accumulation, where wealth and security come from the quality of your relationships rather than the illusion of self-sufficiency. Without gift relationships with birds and bees, service berries would disappear from the planet. Even if they hoarded abundance, perching atop the wealth ladder, service berries would not save themselves from the fate of extinction if their partners did not share in their abundance. Hoarding, friends, won't save us either. All flourishing is mutual. And I love that also reminds me of the most excellent and always timely Emma Lazarus quote, "None of us are free until all of us are free." So yes, all flourishing is mutual, and let us plan our gardens for ourselves, for us all to thrive. So I would love to share that quote that I just shared from Robin Wall Kimmerer is part of this really fun project that we have just started called Growing Our Gardens, Growing Ourselves. And it's a whole reflection every month, reflecting on different facets of gardening. And this month, February, is garden planning. And check out the link. You can actually get a clickable, beautiful digital version. You can also find a version you can print off at home. And there are all of these quotes and questions and exercises, and it's just like garden planning, not in your average way. And I'm pretty excited about it. So definitely check it out. I'm so honored to share it with you, all inspired by Robin Wall Kimmerer this month. And without further ado, this is live Q&A, so jump right in and welcome, and don't be shy. Jill says, good morning, Jill. And your seed packets are so pretty. Oh, thank you. Our friend Kim makes them. Oh my gosh, Kim Torpy is brilliant. She's our friend that also makes our planting calendars and everything. So she takes literally these spreadsheets that I make and a few photos that we take. Oh my gosh. And we have lots of amazing two friends that are phenomenal professional photographers that take photos. But honestly, I mean, it's like this genius iPhone, and Chelsea Reinhardt took thousands of them. And there's so many people that I can't begin to thank when we say these seed packets sure look nice. Not to mention all of the seeds inside and the countless humans that have been saving them for countless millennia. We are truly standing on the shoulders of the most gentle and generous giants. And I hope to be one of them, even in a small way. One day. And Joe says, hi, Petra. Hi, Joe. The tomatoes you talked about hanging in your kitchen, those were Vesuvios? I got to Instagram late. Thanks. Yes, so totally. So backing up, it's true. I do Instagram Live before I do this Facebook Live. So if you want, and I'm on Instagram from 9 to 9:30 on Saturday mornings, and then 9:45 to 10:15 I'm hanging out here on Facebook. So holy moly, if you want the whole 9 yards, heaven help us all. So yes, on Instagram rather, the last question that we were talking about was about the Pianolo del Vesuvio tomato, which is this amazing kind of squat Roma style tomato with this darling little dimple on the bottom that it doesn't have a thick skin in terms of mouthfeel, but it has a fairly thick skin, allowing it to store months after you harvest it, hanging on the vine. So think like a ristra in New Mexico, like those big, beautiful vines, like with all the red peppers coming off it, that's like storing them for the winter ahead. So it's essentially like making a ristra out of tomatoes. You harvest them, the tomatoes, when they're about 80-85% ripe. So not fully ripe, most of the way there. And then you clip the entire truss. So imagine my arm is just like tomato. I clip the truss. So then I hang that truss on something. So whether it's, you might have one of those hanging mesh metal things in your kitchen. That's totally awesome. We just take like a loop of twine. So it's like la 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 la, and then we hang the tomato truss on that loop and then hang them, like stack them. It's so freaking fun. And then the flavor as they hang there all through a few months just richens, deepens, gets more complex, and it's just beautiful. So yes, this is prior to freezing, prior to canning, brilliant season extension technology that is just the genius of both plants and humans when we all pay attention together. So thanks for asking, Joe. And oh my gosh, can't wait to share so much more about them. And Chuck says, just wondering about your take on using Epsom salt in the garden. I personally like to put potassium on my garden in 1,000 other ways. And lots of micronutrients in a lot of other ways that don't have the salt. Anytime that I can not put salt on my garden, I take it. So yeah, if you're looking to put lots of great micronutrients on your garden, I highly recommend, if you haven't already heard or smelled fish emulsion. It is rather smelly, it's true. But yeah, if you're looking to boost the health and happiness and nutrient density of your plants, that's our go-to. And Lillian says, do you have tips for growing ground cherries? I planted 3 seeds under grow lights in the heat mat and none of them sprouted. So seed starting ground cherries, they're very small. They're so small. And here is a key that is something that is really easy to not do quite right. You only want to sow seeds twice their depth. So if a seed is this small, you want to sow it like twice that deep. So most people sow their seeds way too deeply because it's really easy to be like, okay, poke a little hole and put a little seed, and it's really easy to plant seeds too deeply. So especially with ground cherries, because they are so small, it may not be what is going on, but it very well could be that they're simply planted too deeply. And if they're planted too deeply, then it'll take more time for them to emerge, and they might not even emerge if they're planted too deep. So thanks for asking, and certainly, yeah, the heat mat is really going to help. So let me know, and feel free to send us pictures too. You can send us pictures. Honestly, Heather is our brilliant community connections coordinator, and send her photos and send her a lot of love, people. She is so amazing and is fielding so many questions and responds with such generosity and care. So when you're sending us emails, give Heather so much love, but send her some photographs of what you're doing, and she can also help dial it into. Also, perhaps you've seen, we just shared yesterday, we have or perhaps you remember last summer and last fall, we were doing our celebrations, consultations, live Q&A sessions together. So we're starting them again, so we can do garden planning together and then seed starting together, all virtually. And so you can actually sign up now. In the comments. You'll find the link. And so you can actually sign up for hanging out with me, and we're going to hang out on Instagram, on Facebook. We can also do some Zooms and invite people so that I'll be dialing in your garden plan with you, and lots of other people hanging out asking questions too. So it's gonna be so much fun. Definitely sign up for one of those. And even if you don't have the courage, because it's totally courage to co-host something like that with me. Just stay tuned for the calendar about to come out with all those dates so that you can join and just hang out and learn with us all and laugh with us all too. And James says, just received my seeds this week. Woohoo! Very excited. What determines if something can or cannot be started indoors? So first and foremost, let's dive into the back of our seed packets. So before I answer your question in a more like etheric sense, just how do you know if you plant leeks indoors or outdoors? Let's take a look. On the back, there is some handy growing instructions. And wait for it, there is a tab of lots of great reference information. You'll find plant spacing after thinning and transplant only. Whoa, transplant only. You only want to transplant that. There will be something like this spinach, for example, will say direct seed or transplant. How very handy. So you can pick your poison. There are other things. Oh my gosh, like this cilantro. Who knew? Direct seed only. Can you transplant cilantro? Of course. Will it bolt 10 times faster? Yes. So don't be tempted to transplant your cilantro. Just direct sow it. So yes, on the back of our packets, there's just that little watershed check-in. Should I be transplanting this? Should I be direct sowing this? Do I have options? Every single packet of ours will say that. So yes, I'm so glad that you asked. And sometimes there's really easy lessons, generalizations to draw around those. Like for example, roots, like this fabulous sorrel radish. The radish roots just want to be planted where they will ultimately be growing, whether it's a carrot, a beet. They're putting so much energy right from the first moment into developing that root for you and for themselves and for the world. And so being transplanted is very stressful for roots. And who knew? Other things like watermelon also say direct seed only. And same thing with all the cucurbits. Cucumbers, winter squash, summer squash, zucchini, melons, cantaloupe, watermelon. So all cucurbits have a very sensitive root system, so they strongly prefer to be direct sown. And so thanks so much for asking, James, and definitely I would love to do a session with you on the garden planning, so sign up and don't be shy. And Natalia says, by the way, you can start both streams at the same time, just an idea. I love it. And Jill says, I met you at the Hartford Flower Show last year. I had no idea why so many people were buzzing around your booth. I thought they're just seeds. Laugh out loud, but I still bought some. I have since been blown away by your kind spirit, generosity, and knowledge. I'm definitely a future loyal customer. Thank you, Jill. That is such a wonderful compliment and also a beautiful vision. I love, as much as it's so much energy to be at flower shows. I love them and I miss them, and I've met so many wonderful people there. And I hope to see you again one day. And thanks so much. We will miss you all at the flower shows this year, which is one of the many reasons why we are doing so many of these lives coming up, so that we can dial in garden planning and seed starting and be together in any way that we possibly can. So thank you for those kind words. And Susan says, if you could only grow one tomato and one pepper variety, which would you choose? Oh my gosh. Also, I'm trying to patiently wait for Between the Lines peppers to be restocked. Oh no. Oh, yes. So if I was only going to grow one tomato and one pepper, this is so hard. If I was only going to grow one tomato, it would probably be coyote. So coyote is super disease resistant. It's also super delicious. It's also super early. It's a little yellow cherry, and it just kind of tastes like honey. And because it is resistant to early blight, late blight, and septoria leaf spot, they're just ludicrously abundant. And and it's 55 days to harvest, which is almost unheard of. So it's incredible. It's all, if I was just going to grow one, that would probably be it. And if I was going to grow two, it would be Italian heirloom number 2, because they're just massive. Some of them are over 2 pounds. Most of them are over 1 pound. And it's very tolerant of late blight, and has some mediocre intermediary resistance to septoria leaf spot as well. And they're just huge, so delicious, very few seeds, perfect for sauce, as well as, honestly, sandwiches. So, yeah, my go-to in the cherry department is Coyote, now you know, and Italian heirloom all day long for anything in the sauce, paste, or slicer departments. Oh, and peppers. Oh, I just love habanada. And habanada is not easy to start from seed, but it is the most flavorful and incredibly, once it starts to produce, it just is ludicrously productive, and I'm so in love with it. So habanada is my favorite. And between the lines, alas, we sold all of our seed that we have for 2021. So we're going to be growing tons of it for 2022. But I'm so sorry to disappoint you, Susan. Oh, I'm so sorry. And Nana asks, what is your favorite cover crop for winter and for summer too? Oh my gosh. It's so hard to, there's some, I'm really, for winter, oats and peas. Pardon me a moment. Oats and peas for winter all day long, because the peas are delicious. You can actually eat the peas, those they won't form peas themselves, but the top of the foliage are these delicious little tender, sweet tendrils. So delicious. And the oats will just winter kill, so that it covers over the winter, but it becomes this wonderful seed bed to integrate or to pull aside and act as a mulch for the spring ahead. And in the summer, honestly, I love to throw in a ton of things. So whether it's buckwheat and oats, sunflowers and peas, all kinds of things, phacelia. Summer, we just kind of shotgun it. So it's just diversity above the ground is diversity below the ground. And so we just let it all have a party. And there's so much more to share. Oh my goodness. In our Flourish Garden Club, we have way more, all kinds of videos about cover crops. And I want to be making a lot more. And it's something that I am so glad you asked. And we'll be making a lot more videos about them in the coming seasons. And Joe says, off your opening quote, I have a tip to share with everyone. Wonderful. If your stored garlic is sprouting, February is a great time to stick those sprouting cloves in a gallon pot in the soil. Move outdoors after frost and you'll have garlic ready to harvest before your fall planted garlic. Amazing. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I love it so, so, so much. I definitely agree that if your garlic is starting to sprout, either eat it right away, or if you plant it, it won't be full size. They'll still be really small. Another thing to do is to plant them really close together and then let them grow up like chives, garlic chives. They're so delish. That's awesome. And Ree says, can't wait to plant my seeds I got from you guys. I can't wait for you to plant them too. But don't get in a hurry. Oh my gosh, take your time. Check out, if you ordered seeds from us, you got one of these planting calendars in the mail. But one of the key, and even if you didn't order seeds from us, you can download this on our website. It's on our garden planning blog. And definitely take a look. It's a baby encyclopedia. And a few things to take away from this. Don't plant everything all at once. If you're planting everything at once, then you're probably going to have to plant most things more than once. You're going to have to plant again. So timing is everything. And yes, dive right in and you'll find so much more info on our website. And we have this Rise and Shine, Starting Seeds with Ease. This is a whole sweet little book that you can purchase if you want the beautiful spiral bound. It's a very lovely thing. But you can also download the free PDF and then print it at home version too. That's totally free on our website. And this has tons of great growing info for whether it's direct sowing in the ground. Here's an awesome direct sow chart. We also have our transplant chart in here. There's tons of awesome info that'll help you dial in exactly when to plant what. Because if you're planting them all at once, oh man, some things will thrive and most things won't. And here's a really key thing to keep in mind. It's really easy to start seeds too soon. And keep in mind that younger, unstressed, totally healthy, happy transplants are more abundant than older, stressed transplants every time. So it's counterintuitive, especially because, do you see the snow outside? I just came in from a ski. It's very easy to plant seeds way too early in short seasons because we think to ourselves, we live in such a short season, we've got to start that much earlier. It's counterintuitive. If you plant that much earlier, you're actually going to harvest less. So yes, younger, unstressed transplants are more healthy and thus more abundant every time compared to older, less stressed transplants. So timing is everything. And Susan says, oh wow, I didn't know transplanting cilantro would cause it to bolt. Good info. Yes, it's true. And it loves to grow in the cold. We actually just harvested some yesterday in our high tunnel. Cilantro loves growing in the cold. Who knew? We planted in September and enjoy it all winter long. And Jill says, if watermelon prefers direct sow, how to grow it in zone 6 when the growing season is so short if they don't like transplanting? Awesome question, Jill. So this is where regional adaptation is everything. Because I grew up in my father's garden and we would grow watermelon every few years and at the end of the season come to the same conclusion that it just wasn't worth it. We might get some little watermelon, but nothing like a big juicy watermelon. And there's a lot of space and we have a short season. So I thought that growing watermelon wasn't realistic in our short seasons. We're in zone 5. So fast forward, I live in Maine. My first season working full-time on a beautiful organic farm next peninsula east of Acadia, way down east, solidly zone 4. And we grew watermelons there, cream of Saskatchewan watermelons. And like beginning of August, I was like, what is going on? Oh, cream of Saskatchewan. This must be regionally adapted. Fast forward. Petra starts a seed company based on this fact that regional adaptation is significant so that no other little girls here in the Finger Lakes grow up thinking, I don't have a long enough season to grow watermelon. And in fact, this is our go-to variety. We have 3 different varieties of watermelon on our website that are all plenty short for our short seasons. This is our earliest, August Ambrosia, and it's actually one that we developed, Fruition Seeds developed with Cornell University and literally hundreds of other humans that came to our farm and helped us taste, test, and select different lines across the season. So yes, there are, and not to mention the untold generations of brilliant indigenous seed keepers who are actually the foundation of why we have anything to eat or clothe ourselves with, or any semblance of civilization. So yes, hats off to all of those indigenous seed keepers, and hats off to all of you who now know that you can grow watermelon too, even in zone 6, in zone 5, in zone 4. Our friend in Alaska grows this watermelon with tremendous success. So if she does, you can too. And Mars says, do you think growing dahlias in a raised bed box is not the best idea? It all depends on the fertility. Dahlias need a lot of fertility to blossom abundantly. They'll grow lots of foliage either way, but if you actually want them to blossom abundantly, they need a lot of food. So 2 things. Make sure they have lots of food. We have great compost on our website, also great just soil amendments. Secondarily, if you get shorter varieties of dahlias, not like full size to Petra 5-6 foot like full size dahlias. If you get the shorter, more compact and semi-dwarf varieties, those will need less nutrients to get to the point where they're psyched to flower. So don't skimp on fertility, one, and just get shorter varieties of dahlias, two, and you should be good to go. And Kendall says, love the lives, learned so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Such a huge joy to share with you all. And I learned so much here with you too. And I don't know how I got here, but wow, what amazing information. I'm hooked already and would love to know more. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, my huge pleasure. And Kat says, love the peas also for the cover crop. They're beautiful. The green curling stems. Yes. I love those little tendrils spiraling. I love peas. And it's almost time to plant them, but I'm not holding my breath. And Kendall says, wait, you plant summer cover crops? Yes. Is it too late to plant the oats? Yes. For establishing a winter cover crop, you want to be establishing that really in August. By the time it gets to be September, you can establish rye and peas as well. And Margie says, love your Mountaineer peppers for another pepper. Yes, I love Mountaineer too. It's super short, super stout. We easily harvest 20 plus ripe red peppers per plant. It's Will Bonsal's incredible selection. He's way up in Maine, so it's a great variety for short seasons. Oh, and Bisha says, sprouting onions. Yes, I would just eat them. You can plant them as well, but especially if you don't have a light, they'll just get really long and be going like this. So I would just eat them ASAP. And as they start to regrow, they're not going to regrow like an onion as we think of the concentric rings that turn into caramelized delicious scenarios. They're going to go to seed because they're biennials in that second year of growth. They're just going to want to send up, oh my gosh, wait a minute. I'm about to show you a leek that's sprouting on our sink. So check it out from the bottom of the leek, and we ate the rest of the leek, right? So we just put the bottom of it, oh, it looks so sad, in this little container of water, and it's been growing. And so you can see, look, that is its seed stalk. So yes, it has this wonderful little thing. We're about to eat it, but it's focusing right away. And granted, it's like not in nutrients, not in soil. It would grow a little more foliage if we actually had planted it in soil. But we just wanted to see what happened. So yeah, you can see that inner right there. That is a seed stalk. Oh my gosh. So yeah, biennials go to seed really quick in their second year. They don't beat around the bush. And Joe says, amazingly, February is early enough for those garlic heads to grow to full size. Well, in my experience, that mid to late January, early February, it's like right on the edge. But it's hard to say, right? Who knows? But I'm so glad that is your experience, and that is so amazing and awesome. And I wouldn't hesitate to jump right in and do that myself. We'll take some of our sprouting garlic and do the same. And maybe we can all compare notes. And Jenna, after using great soil for microgreens, do you reuse it and plant with more microgreens? Or what do you do with it? Great question. So if you haven't already, jump into our online courses, which are all totally free. And so there's a microgreens micro course. I couldn't call it a mini course because it's a microgreens micro course. And you'll find tons of step-by-step tutorials. It's a micro course, but there's still so much information. And you'll find that for free on our website, fruitionseeds.com, under Learn, under online courses. And so yeah, you can reuse that soil probably 3-4 times. You just want to make sure that you follow the tips in the video, which is basically making sure that the root mat, that you're composting that, because that is what could decompose and turn the rest of the soil into a slimy mess. So as long as you're taking the root mat out and shaking off all the soil, you can reuse that soil many times and you're good to go. And Peggy says, how many harvests do you get from the microgreens kit? It depends on your scenario, but honestly, there's 3. So with our microgreens kit, you get soil and seeds and trays, and the light is optional if you need it. If you don't need it, there's a kit for that too. But there's enough seeds in that packet, honestly, and it depends because you get to choose what seeds that you send from all of our microgreens. But you can honestly sow, any one of our packets sows between 2 and 5 trays of microgreens. So because you get 3 packets, that's 2 times 3 minimum, 2 times 5 maximum. So, or 3 times 5. So there are easily 15 trays. There's a lot of microgreens you can grow from our microgreens kit, and I'm so glad that you asked. And I'm loving planting and eating microgreens for the first time after watching your course. I'm so glad. It's so much fun. It's such a wonderful way to beat the winter blues with some winter greens. And Jill says, took some cuttings from this past summer's impatiens. They are under grow lights but have flowered. Isn't that bad for them to be flowering now? Honestly, I don't know that much about impatiens, and I think it's awesome. I would just celebrate along with them, and I wouldn't be too worried, and keep potting them up and keep feeding them if you think that they're going to be hungry. But apart from that, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that you started impatiens from cuttings. And Jill says, thanks for answering the watermelon question. Definitely ordering August ambrosia. You will not be disappointed, my friend. And I'm so delighted to share these seeds with you. Oh my gosh, so many amazing questions. I have time for just a few more, and I can't wait to do this again and again. I'm here most Saturdays and can't wait for next time already. And Jamie says, what was the type of zucchini you had recommended if you had cucumber beetle issues last year? I remember you saying it to plant later and a different type. Yes. So Tromboncino is the variety, the Italian trombone squash. It is a same species, same genus, different species. So it has a tighter stem that squash vine borer and its piercing, sucking mouth parts cannot penetrate. So yes, Tromboncino is your go-to. And anything in that Cucurbita moschata is going to be resistant of the squash vine borer. And but this is important. This is for the squash vine borer, not cucumber beetle. So cucumber beetles, they are not discriminatory, and they are just going to eat all of your cucurbits. They don't really like Mexican sour gherkins, the cucamelons, which is awesome. But yeah, there are squash vine borer resistant zucchinis, the Tromboncino, but it's not cucumber beetle resistant. So for the cucumber beetles, your best bet is to actually sow the seeds and then throw some floating row cover over hoops over them. So you're effectively excluding the cucumber beetles from those plants. And then you'll need to remove that row cover for the moment that those zucchini, cucumber, watermelon, the moment they flower, they need pollinators to actually produce zucchini and watermelon. And so you need to, at that point, though, they're full grown, really happy, healthy, because they've never had a cucumber beetle munch them yet. And so at that point, they're going to be much more healthy, productive, even if they're surrounded by cucumber beetles, compared to that younger, more tender transplant or younger plant being ravaged by the cucumber beetles. So your best bet for avoiding sadness with cucumber beetles is that floating row cover organically. And Kat says, received the heating mat and the microgreens for the first time. Excited to try this and see how it goes. Rewatched your video on this too. Thank you for your videos. Winter is a great time to watch and rewatch and get ready for 2021. Yes, I am so glad to join you in all of these cold times and dream of the seasons ahead. And so glad you're enjoying it, Kat. I had watched that. Oh, and Gianna says, I'd watched the microgreens course, but still had the question about reusing soil or not. I had asked that question there too. thanks for letting me know. I'll go look. I know I made a whole video about reusing soil. And so I'm very curious now that it isn't there. So thank you. I will go make sure that it's there. Because yeah, there is, oh my gosh, there's so much to share about it. I'll go look at that right after this live. Thank you, my friend. And dun, da, da. Without further ado, I love you all and thank you all for joining, and thanks for another great live Q&A. I look so forward to next time. And I love to begin and end all of our Q&As with a song, story, poem, with something to share our time together. And today, some words from Robin Wall Kimmerer. First, a baby quote, and then a bigger one. All flourishing is mutual. All flourishing is mutual. And here is Robin Wall Kimmerer's larger quote around this. I think that the service berries show us another model, one based upon reciprocity rather than accumulation, where wealth and security come from the quality of your relationships, not from the illusion of self-sufficiency. Without gift relationships with birds and with bees, service berries would disappear from the planet. Even if they hoarded their abundance, perching atop the wealth ladder, they would not save themselves from the fate of extinction if their partners did not share in that abundance. Hoarding won't save us either, friends. All flourishing is mutual. All flourishing is mutual. Thank you for flourishing as best you can in these times, and for joining me, keeping me warm in these times as well. And that is a quote from Robin Wall Kimmerer from her glorious soaring essay, The Service Berry, which we created this entire garden planning packet around. And so you can find that digital download on our website, and you'll see the link above, and that has clickable links with a beautiful, juicy, yummy digital download, as well as a PDF that you can print off at home, just like this, that's black and white. The digital version is, of course, a full, glorious color and so beautiful. We love you, Kim Torpy. And we love you, Robin Wall Kimmerer. It's a really beautiful exploration of how to rethink garden planning. So you're not just growing your garden, you are making a garden more than yours and truly ours. So yes, and one final invitation. We're about to begin an entire season of just hanging out and doing these personal sessions with you all, where we'll be bringing on to the camera someone that we're going to just dial in your garden plan and dialing in your seed starting, and then all summer long just being together in your gardens. So if you would love to share your garden and garden planning with us in this way, jump on, you'll see in the comments above, there's a whole link where you can sign up to share one of those sessions. And if you'd love to simply just watch it, or it'll be here on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, we'll also share some on Zoom. And so we'll be able to be a community together in this time when it is epically challenging to be in community in other ways. So thank you for keeping me warm. Let me count the ways. And Kathy says, thanks for brightening Saturday mornings. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Jill and Marita and Margie. And thank you so much. I love you all and can't wait for the day we can do this alive in person. And in the meantime, see you next Saturday, and stay cozy. Take care. Sending love from our gardens to yours.